Hello, hello, it is day 17 of NaNoWriMo and I am going to be spending this sprint doing my best to figure out how to write about something I have no idea, none, zero about how this actually works in real life. So where we got to at the end of yesterday was I am in the middle of the fourth scene in chapter 9. It was meant to be the second scene in chapter 9, so this is how well I'm going with sticking to my outline, guys. And Rohirrim is in the middle of a storm in the middle of the ocean, and the storm is about to hit. And I know at some point in this chapter, one of the supplicants is going to go overboard. In my outline originally, I don't think I wrote this down because all I've got in my outline is they lose somebody overboard and the elder does not stop for them. In my head, this was gonna be Joban, because I don't know. I'd done the rookie writer mistake of going, oh, I'm getting really attached to these characters, so I'm just gonna like kill off a character that I've introduced but like not really gotten to know, and that'll demonstrate how high the stakes are. And then I realized yesterday at the end of writing that I was like, Raheel is currently stuck on deck with Garden. I would guess, I don't know, but I would guess that the sensible thing to do on the open sea when there is a storm and you are not part of the crew, you are just like a passenger with no sailing experience, you should probably just hole up in your cabin and not be on deck and getting in the way of like the people who actually have to sail the ship. So I was like, well, that's not going to work because Joban is like below decks where he's meant to be, and it's actually Garden who's up on deck with Rohirrim where they're not meant to be. So I'm like, Garden is probably gonna have to be the one who dies. So yeah, discovery writing. This whole discovery writing thing is extremely confusing to me, but I'm gonna roll with it. So my goal for today, well, this sprint specifically, is I want to finish off the scene. So I can call chapter 9 done. I'm not that far away. I think I'm at almost 5,500 words for this particular scene, and I've already done the setup for the scene, and setup is what takes me a really long time. So I'm already like 700 or 800 words of setup into this particular scene, which means I hopefully should be getting to the point where like stuff just happens and my characters are actually running around doing things, because I have procrastinated long enough on writing words where I'm just like, I'm just gonna write a whole bunch of introspection about Rohirrim, thinking about the sea, because I'm just like, I can kind of write vague introspection-y stuff like that. That's not too bad, but she's gonna have to be running around on deck and like, you know, doing sailing things that I'm just like, I have not gone into the necessary research rabbit hole to figure out what all the different parts of the ship are and what you're even meant to do with a ship in a storm. In my head, it kind of goes like, there's lots of wind blowing. You probably want to keep the ship under control. So I guess like you need to, I don't know, take down the sails or like do something with the sails, or maybe like do the thing where you change the directions of the sails so that the ship can like, you know, navigate through the storm or something. And I'm just like, I really have no idea what's going on with that. So this chapter is going to be very painful in revision, but that is what I'm planning to do. So what about you guys? What are you guys planning to do? Let's see who's online and on stream. So we have CC Twin 55, hello, welcome. Cherry Panda, welcome. We've got Hayden back, welcome Hayden. I'm excited to get some more plot planning done today. I'll do some real writing later this evening. I think strictly speaking, under Nano, you are allowed to count words towards your outline if you've been doing extensive outlining. So you may actually be able to add those words to your tracker as well. CC Twin is at 28k. I got 1k yesterday, and with my shoulder that felt pretty good. Today I want to hit 30k. Totally doable. We've got like 4 sprints scheduled today, so I think we're gonna get there, definitely. Hayden says, I haven't updated my word count since last night. I've decided I'll only update it once a day, so I'm not just constantly looking at the numbers. Yeah, good call, really good call. I find that like if I have a number like in front of my face too much, that kind of stops me from getting into the flow because like my brain starts obsessing about like making sure the number is going up. I think some people can work the other way. They're like some people are super motivated by staring at a number and going, "Ah, I don't have enough words." But yeah, I agree with you 100%, Hayden. Like I find that sometimes when I'm looking at the tracker constantly, it's just a little bit too. It just does something for my brain that I don't think is very conducive to getting raw words down, which is why I am using my own spreadsheet here. It still has the words on it, but like what I like about this is it's kind of more focusing on my pace and making sure that I've got a steady pace, and I'm not kind of so much focusing on getting to a particular par or a benchmark or whatever. I'm just kind of documenting how I went in the most recent sprint, and that kind of works for me. If you want a copy of this to use, there's a link in the description, I think, so you can grab it off Google Drive. I haven't updated that version with these two new columns. I had to insert these afterwards because I was a bit like, I realized that tracking the chapter and the scene I am is very useful for me because I've noticed a pattern with my writing now that I'm kind of tracking this in this detail, that whenever I start a new scene, it just takes me way longer to get in the scene. And like I'm pretty sure there is a direct correlation between the words per hour I'm doing and the point at which I am in the scene, and also how many characters are in that scene. At some point after Nano, I will do like a more detailed analysis of all of this and share this with you guys in a video. But yeah, for now, I'm just gonna focus on getting through the scenes one at a time. That seems to be working for me. Hey, Herbsticker, did I say that right? Tell me if I'm not saying your name right. Hey, Herbsticker, I just found out that this channel exists sprints every day of Nano. That's amazing. I'm excited for this. Oh, I'm excited that you're here too. I have found that doing these sprints to be very, very productive for me because I have found that because I've been streaming for a little bit, I have established a bit of a habit loop for my streams. So when I go live, I'm like, okay, I'm going live. I set a goal for what I'm going to do while I'm live, and then I do stuff. I do stuff while I'm live, and then at the end of it, my little reward to myself is that I get to chat to you guys, and we all get to kind of celebrate all the things we accomplished in the stream, and everybody feels good. So that is a routine that has worked well for me, and it has been working very well for me this Nano. So I'm so glad to have you guys here with me today. Cherry Panda says, I skipped to the middle of my project and it's working for me, so I'm doing hour-long sprints today. I found a series of playlists of Heartbroken Witch, Siren Fairy, etc. It's been a mood. Oh my goodness. You know what? I had no idea that you could get background music as specific as that, because yesterday when I was going down the YouTube rabbit hole of like ship construction, YouTube gave me a whole bunch of playlists which were like, I don't know, like pirate storm ship mood, creaking creepy ghost mood music, and I was just a bit like, I did not anticipate that. I don't know if I want to check out any of that because it's not actually directly relevant to what I'm trying to do. I know some writers like to set mood music to help them get into the mood of evoking the feel of the scene that they're in. I just kind of, as you guys will have noticed, I just kind of have like the YouTube free audio library generic music on in the background. I just need something to block out my surroundings, and I don't really pay that much attention to the music as I'm writing. It's just more as a trigger for me to get into like, okay, this is stream music, so it's time to get stuff done. Oh, who else have we got? Nettle Soup, hello, welcome. Have you got a head start on us already today, or are you just starting now with us? I'm very, very curious. Oh, I made it onto the write-a-thon list. So for those guys who haven't been following Nettle Soup's project on Royal Road has been doing a 25k write-a-thon challenge as part of Nano, and I think what were the criteria, Nettle? It was you had to write 25k words, and if you did, you would get featured on Royal Road on like a list of write-a-thon winners. Did I get that right? I'm not on Royal Road. Somebody else in my writing group is on Royal Road. He's got two stories. Red Mist and what's he's called the other one? Fish on a Stick. So Red Mist is like Red Mist is like Redwall but for grown-ups, and Regency. so that's kind of like a interesting combination if you're into that. And he's also got a spin-off which is called Fish on the Stick, which is set in the same universe, but that's satire. So check those out if you haven't. I will drop some links in the chat and in the description a little bit later in the stream, maybe after I'm done writing, so that like we do not get distracted from the core mission of getting more words on the page. But yeah, Nettle Soup, I think I have your link. I will drop that in the description and in the chat as well, just so people can check that out. What else? Let's see. Hayden says, I found that some 30s, 40 jazz really puts me in the mood for outlining. For the writing itself, though, haven't settled yet. Cherry Pam says, yes, it's good, and there's one with lyrics and one without. Right now, no lyrics is working for me. Yeah, I am curious for people who can write with songs that have lyrics in the background, because I find that my brain can't process words coming from two separate sources at the same time. So if I'm sitting here trying to do words going out this way, then I can't have words coming in the other way, because then the words coming in the other way, and I don't know if this is true for you guys, but like when I write, like when I type, as I type the words, like my brain thinks the words, so I'm like reading aloud in my brain, like not aloud like, you know, physically, but like I'm reading aloud in my brain. So if I have words coming in the other way, that really messes me up. I can't type anything coherent. Nettle Soup is at 117 words. It's 55k to get to the end, but 25k by the 15th. I think the Royal Road Radthorn ends on the 7th of December. Yeah, so that's not fair. Like, you know, an extra week to do another 5k. That's pretty much what I did last year with Nano, and that was my first time Nano, so totally achievable, but very difficult, very difficult. So yeah, props to anyone who is doing Nano for the first time, because it is hard. I remember it being very hard. It is still hard now. It's only my second Nano, and it is still hard. Like, it's just, writing is just hard, period. Nettle Soup says, I can write with lyrics, but it can get distracting. Cherry Panda says, I can do it, but it needs to be for my own playlist. Interesting. Those are songs that I know by heart, so my brain doesn't have to process any of the words, and I just sing along without thinking about it. Oh, okay, yeah, I can see how that would happen. I can definitely see how that would happen. But I would have, I think if I were to do that, I would have to pick like songs which are like, I like them, but they're not like my favorite songs, because I know if I put on anything like Hamilton or Rent or Six or something like that, I would just forget about the writing and just get way too into like singing along with all of the songs. All right, guys, this is a really intimidating thing that I've got ahead of me, because I'm just like, I'm so terrified about writing the storm scene, but it is okay. I have you guys here with me. I'm going to put 100 minutes up on the timer, because I am definitely going to need all of that time to get into the scene, and we shall work together and get some words on the page. up, guys? That is it for sprint 1. Oh, how did you guys do? I think I only managed to kind of really get into the scene right just right at the end. I'm at, let's see, 6,155 words for this chapter so far. Oh my goodness, which means 812 words for that sprint, which I think I'm happy with that. It was so hard to get into it. I just kept procrastinating from actually having people do things because I was just like, I don't know what all the things that they are supposed to do are, and I'm just like, oh, this is so hard. And quite honestly, like the prose in this entire section is just terrible. It's just full of horrible, really bad similes and like repetition and everything. Oh man, it is so terrible. But I am extremely happy because I think I actually figured out how to make this scene work, especially through the POV of a single character who kind of like she has some idea of what's going on, but she doesn't really have the full picture. And like realistically, there should be no way to have the full picture of a kind of situation like this. I mean, it's supposed to be in the middle of the storm, and it's not like we've got a camera panning around like Pirates of the Caribbean style. So yeah, I think the key is she needs a specific mission. So um I don't have it up at the moment, but I'm fairly sure in my little workflow software, I think I had something which was like, you know, Rahilu tries not to drown, or something something like super vague. And that was not helping me. I have found that if I have a try fail cycle that where the try part is very vague, it doesn't really help. So like this is what I had coming into the scene, and her objective was to help the crew with the sails, I guess, because like that's probably like the only obvious thing to me about trying to sail a ship through the storms is that I know you're not supposed to, like, I know you're supposed to do something with the sails so that like the masts don't get ripped off the ship in the gale force winds or something like that. I don't know specifically what you're supposed to do with the sail, and that is going to be like a revision research thing that I will have to do to clear that up. But I know you're supposed to do something with them, so she's trying to do something with them. And like my try fail cycle was literally like she succeeds, but like garden goes overboard, right? And I only figured out probably at the somewhere at this point when I'm just like, okay, so she's woken up, she knows there's a storm on the way, like what is she doing? I'm just like, well, she probably figures out how much time there is before the storm hits, and therefore whether or not she's got enough time to, or whether the ship's got enough time to do all the things with the sails. So I was like, okay, so that meant I had a much more specific objective than I had laid out over here. And then the thing that kind of got me over the block was to think about Brandon Sanderson's framework for plotting. So if you haven't watched his lectures, because there's two on plotting, you should, because he explains plot in a really intuitive way, for me at least, in a way that kind of makes sense beyond trying to mess around with like a lot of plot structures and things like that. And so his method, the way he plots, he looks at promises, progress, and payoff. Like the three P's of the Sanderson framework is promise, progress, and payoff. And so what helped me figure it out is if I looked back at the promise of the scene. So I kind of set up the promise with the chapter title, like storm. So there's going to be a storm. And then in the previous scene, they discovered that there was a disagreement between the elder and like the other people on board about whether or not they should sail onto the storm. So obviously the promise is like a bad storm is going to happen and bad things going to happen, which means I kind of have to deliver on that promise, right? And then so I was kind of thinking of, okay, well, if that's my promise and the payoff is, yes, very bad things are going to happen, and in this case, I know that one of the characters is going to die, right? So that's the payoff, that's the stakes. That means I needed some sort of progress to work through that, so that, you know, it's not just like, oh, and the storm hit and it was really bad, and then, you know, garden fell overboard. Like, that's not fun to read. So I figured that the progress element I was gonna do in here is just I'm gonna give Raheelu like a little checklist in her head of like the things that she can try and achieve, you know, to help save the ship, or you know, prepare the ship for the storm as best as she can. And when I was starting to write this, I was like, oh, maybe like, you know, she like, and I haven't figured out how big the ship is exactly. So I have not determined how many masts it has, how many sails it's got, and I don't even know like how many of the crew that Garden are able to wake up. And like, there's also like this other super fishy thing about the crew that I've planted that we don't know anything about as yet. So currently, the plan for the next sprint is she is going to try and tackle a number of sales, number to be determined, at the speed of which I'm working through this, because I'm just like, I also can't like summarize this too much. Like, I need to really work on doing the showing instead of telling, which means like I can't just be like, oh, and she tied one sail down and moved on to the next, because that's also that doesn't do anything for tension. So I suspect where this shall go is I'm gonna pretty like heavily dramatize her struggling with this one particular sail. She's gonna be able to do that one on her own. And then she's gonna probably go on to the next one and really struggle with that. And I think what's gonna happen is Garden's gonna come and help her with that. And then in the process of helping with that, just at the point of success, whatever, like something bad happens, like I don't know, like a stray buffet of wind, or like some nautical thing, like maybe like the this is how much I know about sailing, guys. Like the horizontal thing on some of the sails that like swings around, like when the ship is moving. Oh, like boom, is that what they call it? I don't know. Like maybe that knocks him off or something. I don't know. I will figure it out when I get there. Oh, this discovery thing, it's just driving me insane. But hopefully this is amusing for you guys to watch. I am just like, I think I'm still trying to reconcile myself with the fact that I'm trying to discovery write this whole thing. This is just completely unlike me. I usually have everything planned out to a T, and it's just it's just driving me completely mental. Oh my goodness. Let's see how you guys doing. So Steven says abysmal. Brainstorming on how this chapter should go mostly. Lorraine, and tell me again if I'm saying your name wrong, is in the same boat. I have 6,000 words. I had to write out a scene on paper, and now I'm finishing it in LibreOffice. I people have tried to get me to use LibreOffice, and I can't. I had a bad experience with OpenOffice, and I'm just like, no, I'm just Google Docs for me all the way at the minute. Cherry Panda says, I just ended the scene and now I'm just watching a show because I have no idea what I do now. Maybe I need to pull out the Lenormand cards again. Jay says, I prefaced this by saying I dictate my theme, but I got 1,584 words. That's awesome. I have tried dictation. It did not work well for me, and possibly because I was cheaping out on like the, you know, like the free online dictation software, but like it actually slowed me down so much more than typing, because I actually can type quite fast. The thing that slows me down is like when I'm like, I don't know what the words are that I want to type. And the dictation thing was just like, because I had to like make sure I was enunciating super clearly because of like my weird accent. Yeah, like dictation just did not work for me. But I could foresee potentially like just recording like a voice memo and then paying one of those transcription services to just like transcribe what I've said. But then also because I don't actually listen to audiobooks. Like I don't know why. I find it easier to concentrate on words on a page. Like I read visually, not in that I picture the scenes, but I read visually, as in I like seeing the words on a page. And so it's really easy for me to lose focus on where things are in the narrative if I'm listening to an audiobook. I don't know. My brain just kind of works that way. Oh, Steven's got some storm tips for me. He says you have to hoist the sails because else the wind could rip them to shreds or even capsize the ship. Hoist the colors high, and plus you have to point the prow between the wind and the incoming waves and ride the tides up and down. If a wave grabs you from the side, you could also capsize. The booms are only on fore and aft masts, which means your ship is already of a bigger type. Yeah, so I think that is all really good tips. I think I'm gonna go YouTube something in the break where I actually watched a couple of videos, and I don't know if you guys have heard of this. There's actually a ship crew. I think it's in one of the Nordic countries, and they literally like sail around like one of what you would picture as like a typical sailing ship, and I think it's like I haven't figured out what the format was. They did a little mini documentary on YouTube, and I think it's kind of like a paid like working vacation thing, and not like they pay you, like you pay them for the opportunity to go on this boat and live on it like you would if you were like an actual sailor on a medieval ship. And like you actually sail this thing around, like they sail it around this galley and everything, and like it's just like a whole experience thing, which I think it's the kind of thing that I sit here and I'm like, that sounds fascinating, and if I was still in my 20s and single, that would totally be a really cool thing that I would try to do after like maybe a year of like physical training or something, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not fit enough to do any of the ship duties that were described. Like there was just like a lot of physical labor involved in running around the ship and doing all the things that a ship crew does. But that was super cool. So I will try and see if I can find that documentary for you guys, and I will drop it in the description or in the next chat probably, because in the next chat for the next live stream I'm just going to be like, so this is what I learned during my little YouTube rabbit hole during the break about ships and storms and stuff. Cherry Panda says, somewhere in Europe there is a LARP where you play parts on a real sailing ship and you have to help to do everything. OMG, that is cool. That is so cool. I have never gotten into LARPing. I find the whole concept extremely hilarious, like in a like a fun and cool way. And I have been to a Renaissance fair, and like that was also cool. We did dress up as pirates, like not very historically accurate pirates, but I was like, if I'm gonna dress up for anything at a Ren fair, I am gonna go as a pirate. And yeah, like there were people in full plate armor and medieval dress and everything, and I was just like, I can't imagine like trying to actually wield a broadsword or a longsword or whatever the types of sword it is that you should be wielding as your knight character, whatever. And watching the jousts was also really, really cool in person. Herb Sticker says 1,233 words for me. Similarly, I was just kind of meandering for the first hour and then only really got into it in like the last 20 minutes. That is okay. That is okay. We have 3 more sprints lined up, so I am confident that now that we kind of know where the scene is going, we will be okay and we will get some words down on the page. HOF Cat, no worries about being late, just drop in whenever. Look forward to having you on sprint 2. Lorraine says, lol, depending on your rate, it depends on what kind of labor you will be doing around the ship. Good point. Good point. I really, really need to figure out what the hell is going on with the crew in this thing. Like, I have, like, my discovery writing brain has just, like, done the thing where they're just like, I need something to be very sus, and there's this, like, element of magical slavery that I need to foreshadow somehow, and I'm just like, the crew, I guess the crew is just, like, magically enslaved somehow, and I just kind of made that happen, and then I'm just like, now I need to figure out like why they would need a magically enslaved crew, and also like what exactly the consequences of that are, and who on a ship is actually magically enslaving the crew, and how that actually impacts on the fact that the crew has not gotten the ship ready for the storms, and whether that was malicious or not, or whether it was the work of somebody else on the ship sabotaging the things. And I'm just like, I can't deal with it. Can't deal with this at the moment. I'm just gonna kind of put all of that off to like chapter 10, which is gonna be the aftermath from the storm. And I'm just gonna kind of deal with it there because I'm just like, I can't think about that right now as I'm writing this. Oh, Stephen says technically something like a schooner also has a boom, but those are too small of what she wants to do, and going into storms would be suicide by default. Yes, yes, that is the vibe I was going for. I know your main character needs to do something, but realistically, the passengers would just get in the way of the professionals or get themselves killed immediately. Yeah, totally. I 100% agree with that. So I'm gonna like try and do some research so I can plug some of these plot holes and get some breakfast. And I will see you guys in 20 minutes for Sprint 2. Bye, guys.